This video details how to use Diigo to bookmark, highlight, and annotate texts online. Step 1 is to go to Diigo.com, Diigo.com. Once you're there, click the sign-in icon which appears in the upper right of your screen. And here you want to enter the username and password that you were assigned in class. So please make sure you don't use a personal account, and please make sure you don't use an account that maybe you were assigned last year or the year before. It has to be the one that I gave you in class because that's how I'll be able to see and grade your annotations. Once you've got everything put in there, click sign in. You will be taken to what's called My Library, and you can see that you can access it up here in the upper toolbar. My Library is where anything you bookmark, highlight, and annotate will be stored so that you can access it at a later time. You'll see that mine is full of all kinds of stuff here because I use my Diigo quite frequently. Yours is going to be empty because this is the first time that you are using your account. Once you start bookmarking and highlighting and annotating, yours will also be full of stuff. In order to get started with that, you need to make sure you have the Diigo toolbar installed. So what you want to do is go up here to this little person shadow, the drop-down menu, and you want to click Tools. And then you want to look in the browser add-ons. If you are using a school computer, you will probably want to do the Diigo extension. It works on Chrome, which is the recommended browser, but it also works on Internet Explorer and Firefox. If you're at home, however, you can also use the Diigo extension, but if you do not want to download any add-ons or extensions to your browser, then you can use one of these bookmarklets. So there's no installation here, you just drag it up to your toolbar, and you will still be able to bookmark, highlight, and annotate things. Of course, if you're using a different kind of device like your iPad or your iPhone, you can come down here to the mobile and desktop apps, and you can pick the application that is suitable to your device. Once you have followed the instructions for downloading everything, you should see a D. So if you look up here in the upper right next to my address bar, you'll see that I have this blue D here. That is my toolbar. You want to make sure you have something similar. If you have that up there, then you know that you're ready to start bookmarking, highlighting, and annotating. So we're going to use a sample assignment to demonstrate how to bookmark, highlight, and annotate. The assignment is as follows. You are being asked to locate an article online that pertains to using Native American imagery as school mascots. Anytime you're asked to find information online, the first place you should try is the Library Media Center's research databases. So to get there, open a new tab in your browser, go to okemahschools.net, and from the left-hand side, hover over Library Media Center, and then select Research Databases. You will be taken to this page right here. Obviously, you don't want to select databases that are for elementary-aged students or middle school-aged students. You want to pick things that are appropriate for your grade level. For something like Native American imagery and school mascots, that's considered a controversial issue. So SIRS Issues Researcher is a good database to start with. So I'm going to click on that. And if you are accessing the databases from school, you should be taken directly to this page. But if you're accessing the databases from home, you will be asked to input the username and password for Okemah Schools. And you can get that either from me or from the library. Once you're on this page, you want to go ahead and input keywords related to what you're looking for. So I am going to type in Native American mascots and then click enter and see what happens. When you're given a long results list like this, something that you can do in SIRS particularly is hover over an article, and either a quote or a summary of the article will pop up. And if it looks like it might be useful for your assignment, then you can go ahead and click on the title and be taken to the article. So we're going to use this article. It's called The Dark Side of Sports Symbols. When you are browsing an article, you don't have to read every single paragraph. You want to make sure that it's going to be useful for you first. Then you can go back and read everything. So the best way to make sure it's useful is to look at words that are in bold, to look at section headers, like right here, and determine if you think that it might help you in your assignment. So let's say I've looked over this article and I think, yes, it is going to help me in my assignment. What I want to do is start reading it, and I want to start annotating it just like I might annotate it if I had a hard copy of it in front of me and I had my pencil or my pen. Only I'm annotating it online, and here's how we do it. If I think this is important for some reason, if I find it compelling or if I find it confusing, what I want to do is highlight it with my cursor, and as long as I've got the Diigo toolbar installed, this highlighter icon will appear, and you can select what color you want to highlight. And then I've got it highlighted. So this will put both the title of the article as well as what I've highlighted in my Diigo library so I can see it later. But I'm not done yet. I need to actually write my annotation. I need to explain why I thought this was worth highlighting. To do so, hover over the pencil icon, which appears near the first word of the sentence you've highlighted. It should pop up when you bring your cursor over there. Click on Add Sticky Note. And this is where you write your annotation. So anything that you might write in the margins, if this were something sitting in front of you and if it were a hard copy, that's what you should write on your sticky note. These annotations should be fairly thorough. It should be obvious to both you and me when I go in to grade it why you thought this was worth highlighting, what you thought was so important or compelling about it, or what you found most confusing, or what you disagreed with about it. So you write your annotation here, and when you're ready, you click Post. And then you can check to see if it has been bookmarked and added to your library by going back to the Diigo Library tab, refreshing the page, and then looking. So there's the title of the article, Sirs, the Dark Side of Sports Symbols. Beneath that are the things that I have highlighted, and then my annotations under all the things that I've highlighted. So you'll notice the things that I've highlighted have a little yellow line to the left of them. And then my annotations have a grayish line. This is the same thing that I, as your teacher, will be able to see as long as you're using the student account that I assigned to you. So this is how I will grade your work. If you ever want to revisit the article, all you have to do is click on the title, and it will take you back to the original article. So this is how you highlight and bookmark things that you find in the public schools research databases. You can also look for things, in Google, for example. If you've exhausted all the databases through the Okemos Public Schools and you simply cannot find what you're looking for, then you can resort to the free web. So we're going to click on Google. And we're going to enter our keywords. And see what pops up. You're going to have to peruse a little more carefully if you use the free web. So if you Google something, for example, because anything pops up here. Unlike school databases, this stuff is not checked for accuracy. It's not checked for credibility. It's not checked for currency. So you need to do a little bit of extra work to make sure it's reliable and to make sure it's appropriate for your assignment. I actually found on the free web, through a Google search, an ESPN article titled Time to Rethink Native American Imagery. This might be something that I might like to use for this assignment, something that you might like to use as well. So just like in the library databases, if you find an article through Google or another search engine on the free web that you want to use, all you have to do, as long as you have your Diigo toolbar installed, is highlight the part that you find interesting, add your sticky note, and click Post. And if you go back to your library and refresh it in Diigo, you should see, here it is. You should see what you've highlighted. It'll have a little yellow line or maybe pink line if you highlighted in pink, for example. And you should also see your annotation with a grayish line. I will see that as well. So this is how you use Diigo to bookmark, highlight, and annotate texts that are online. As with anything, if you have any questions, ask classmates and ask me for clarification if necessary.